Hey guys,
Hello.
I'm Dean, Superbike-Coach photographer. I'm here with Coach Ken, who's right there in the middle.
This is
And
Mark
we got
Stewart.
Mark, the other nephew mechanic over there.
And this is Dean.
And that's me. We're here today. I've got my 2007 KTM 450 SMR right there. Bruce, short for Bruce Art. He's getting some work done. We're putting a new rear shock so we can get the sag set properly.
Yeah, he's got too fat. It's a stiffer spring there, and this is exactly where our slacker tool comes in. Once we did all the mechanical stuff, and there's a lot to it.
Oh yeah,
to
yeah.
do. Yeah, we got to take the swing arm out to get the shock out, right, Mark?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And then once it's all back together, we can start dialing it in, the preload, which is essential on this.
Yeah.
And you always had too much of a preload because the spring was too soft.
So we're going to hopefully this will help and compensate for things, and we can finally get this thing set up right for.
Yeah, and with the nice thing with the slacker tool is you can go down on a millimeter.
Sweet.
Yeah, you're gonna love it.
Can't
we
wait.
gotta dial yours in as well, right? But we do this other day.
Yeah.
This will consume a lot of time here because we also do other stuff with this bike. New tires. What else?
Yeah, we've got new tires coming, front and rear, and also we've got a new rotor from BrakeTech
Ooh, yeah,
going on
right. And
with
you're gonna
new
love
brake
this
pads.
thing. That's, by the way, the only rotor I couldn't bend yet. You know,
Yeah, you brake hard.
running at least one rotor in one season.
Uh-huh.
The original ones were holding for like 2 months. Yeah. So we will tell you what the significance is here with those rotors and the benefit, and they're actually very affordable.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the price. But yeah, the price for the rotor I got actually was pretty good.
Yeah, it's high quality stuff, and also the design. We come all to this later once we start working on that, and then
It's a sweet design. Wait till you see it.
It is a sweet design.
Stylish.
Oh yeah, yeah. Lots of MotoGP technology right there, and which belongs in bikes like that. I mean, this is all race bike, competitive competition bikes, and they are moving really fast. Even an old fat guy like this can
Not
be
that
really,
fat.
really fat. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing, and
Hi, Bruce.
let's get to it.
All right. See you guys in a bit.
All right, so we're gonna pull the shock out of the back of the KTM now. KTMs, for the most part, a lot of the older ones, they don't have a rear linkage. So this might be a little different from your bike if it has a linkage. A lot of the newer model KTMs, especially the Supermotos, they're gonna have a linkage back here. So it's a slightly different process, but for the most part, it should be mostly the same.
Yeah, on the newer ones with the linkage, you will have to 2 more bolts, literally, and then you have to pull the swing arm axle, and then you can move the axle backwards, and that makes it easier to get that rear shock out. On this, it's way more simple.
And we'll show you that right now. So first thing you'll want to do is take this one loose. Just crack it loose so that way it's able to turn a little bit once you get everything else out. Once you get this bolt all the way out, the reason we did this is so that way you don't have to fight the swing arm bouncing everything around. So once this bolt's all the way removed, you just got to wiggle it a little bit and you should be able to get this bolt right on out. It helps to have a second person support the swing arm while you're doing that, because a lot of times that'll bind in there. So once you get that free, you just let the swing arm down and it'll let the shock back, and you let the swing arm rest on the stop. Grab the top of the shock, give it a small wiggle, and the lower bolt should come right on out. Once you have that, I find it the easiest just to lift this straight up, and then your rear shock comes right on out.
There you go. And this, by the way, is a great opportunity to clean all of that up, huh, Dean? Want to do that?
Yeah, we'll get that done.
Yeah.
Definitely
the
get
best
that
way
done.
to do that is WD-40. That's what I like using. All the grease comes off, and the thing looks like, well, in this case, almost new.
Yeah.
As close to new as possible for a 20-year-old bike.
Yeah, right. Still looks good, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're maintaining our shit.
Yep.
Taking care of that.
Yep, you want to make sure you get all those little goodies out of there.
So now we're going we have full access to the shock. This will be loosened up and all moved all the way up. And then you can access the ring here, removing the ring, and the spring comes out. And there's your new spring, isn't it?
Right there by BrakeTech.
Yeah, and that's a way heavier spring. So that should be the appropriate spring for Dean's fat ass. Yeah.
Leave my ass out of it.
And that is significant. If you ever want to dial your race bike in perfectly, that's what you need to do in that right one.
Absolutely, you got to make sure your spring rates match your weight.
Yeah. And we come later to this and how we're using the slacker tool for setting it up very well. Once we're all done with the bike, I guess. All right, let's get to it.
Let's do it.
Mark, just loosened up all the preload screw here. Screw nut.
Preload adjuster.
Preload adjuster.
So now it's free
now we
spinning.
now it's free spinning, and now we can move the spring up, and that gives us access to this little spring in there.
There's a little C-clip
Yeah.
underneath this collar. You slide this collar down, find the opening on the C-clip, spread it open just a little bit, and then just scare it out of the groove.
Yeah.
Pull that out of the way.
And now it's important that you keep order of the parts. How they come out, you put them back in, so that when you lay them out here, so that you know exactly how it all comes back together.
We'll lay that there.
There you go.
This here. And we get this washer out.
It's probably pretty tight. There you go.
Yeah, that's got to be a tight tolerance so it doesn't rattle.
Now we can pull it
And the
quick.
spring comes right off.
Sweet.
There you go. Also here, this is a great chance now to clean the shock up, right?
Oh, here we go with the cleaning bit again.
Oh yeah.
It never ends.
Oh yeah. All right. Cool.
Oh, here's the, so let's, and there we go. Old and new. Pretty soon.
All right. So we cleaned up the shock. Looks like new. That's good, right? And now we're ready to throw the new spring in. We're making sure this is facing up. And then first we measure the length of the shock. That is 260 mil. Yeah. So what we want to do now is bring the spring in, and then put the adjuster here down to 10 millimeter of preload. That's kind of a good start out point. Huh? Do you agree, Mark?
I agree.
All right, let's do it.
All right. We'll take the shock, slide the spring in, label face up. Make sure it seats up against this washer. Put a rider washer here on the very bottom. We get our collar. Make sure that seats down. And this spring's a little bit longer, so we might need to actually add a little bit of push down so we can get that clip seated in. Best way to make sure this clip's seated in is you make sure it can spin in that groove. If it spins in that groove, it's all the way seated down.
There you go. There you have it. So now Mark is going ahead and give this tension by 10 millimeter. We took the measure, 260 mil. We should see 250 mil then. I think Mark did a great job here. It looks brand new, doesn't it?
It does.
So now before we saw 260 in free length of the spring, and now we're seeing 250 here. It's a little more, but that doesn't matter because we got to set it up anyway. We leave this loose, throw it back in the bike, moving on with the rest, what we have to do, and then once we're all done, we're doing the settings. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Sound good?
So we're ready to put our shock back in. We've already set the preliminary preload onto the spring. So installation is exactly the backwards of taking it out. So we're going to sneak this in here. Try to give yourself as much room as possible and watch that you don't pinch your fingers when you get up near the frame. It's going to take a little bit of coercion to get the top bushing in. Once you got that in, hold it steady. And once you push your bolt through, don't thread it in quite yet because you still have to get the lower bolt. You just want to push this through and it'll hold it in place.
That sounded good.
Right on the money. Then you'll hold this up and you just drop it right on down over the top of that bushing. And with the help of our lovely assistant,
You notice how I
Slide
got these
that on
guys
through.
working on my bike.
Almost done.
almost done. Now we'll tighten these up, and then we'll get Dean on the bike and we'll actually set the preload.
All right.
All right, so we finished up the rear end. Rear wheel is back in. We took the chance to also put a brand new tire on. So that looks really good. We made sure everything's adjusted well. And now we're moving on to the front.
That thing right there. Got new brake pads are coming, and that rotor is coming off, and a new rotor is going on.
Yay.
Right there. Yay. Be back.
So, we're going to be putting a new front rotor on this KTM. Big reason is because the play is a little excessive.
Oh boy.
Even though this is a fully floated rotor, it's not supposed to have play forward and back and up and down quite that
you
much.
can actually wiggle it up and down.
And in and out. This
So
this
you
kind of
can actually imagine when you brake really hard and the rotor is not centered anymore in this direction.
yes.
You can have a wobble.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
fucking instability and all of that crap, right?
Like I actually had it happen on my KTM
Sure.
where this wiggled so much
scary,
it
dude.
pushed the piston back into the
Oh, yeah,
into
yeah.
the caliper, and I had no brake anymore.
Oh, God.
It was not
Like
ideal.
you lose all color in your face. Like,
Oh, it's all
I'm
gone.
fucked.
Yeah, all gone. So we're gonna change this one out, and we're gonna go to
BrakeTech.
BrakeTech rotor.
Yeah, wonderful people actually. They design and develop this all here in the US, right? Nothing is Chinese on this thing. I don't know about this one, but this one is completely US made, based on their data they grab from racing themselves, and that's high level quality. I have that on my KTM as well, and once my Panigale is there, where I've worn out the Brembo rotors, I will throw on these as well. Because when you look at the design, how the carrier is designed, this is all aluminum, as well as the button. How do you call these buttons?
Yes, bobbins.
Okay. So when you look closely here, then you see that the carrier is actually holding up against the brake forces here, and not the buttons themselves, like on here. So all the force here is on the button, which is steel, and creates then the gaps here. Look at that.
It
This
actually
is
wears
just-
the carrier right out.
Yeah. The thing is, this here is, I believe, I'm not sure about that, 600, 700 bucks. Didn't you check on that lately?
I think that one was roughly
I usually see these go for
Three
anywhere
to-
in the $600 to
About-
$700.
yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
This
for quite spendy.
is not half the cost. So, I mean, what's to think of there? What's to consider, right?
It's almost a no-brainer.
Safer, more braking power, reliability. Am I saying that right?
Yes. Reliability. I'm proud of you.
And cheaper. I mean, what else? What else do you need, right?
They're also stainless steel too, yeah?
That's stainless steel. When you look at this one, this is just standing there from 2 weeks. It's rusted.
Yeah, these cast irons, they rust really fast.
So, and this is a wave-shaped rotor. I'm not too much of a friend of that because, I mean, this is more fancy than anything else.
Style
Do
points
you
count.
know? Well, yeah. I mean, the holes here, the gaps in there, that's for you know, the heat,
For heat,
and,
yeah.
and keeping the brake pads clean, kind of thing. This has anything of that. I mean, when you look into MotoGP, they don't use waved rotors at all. You know, because the more surface you have, the more braking force you have, right? So that's how I see it. But hey,
Well, a MotoGP rotor also costs what a new V4R costs.
yeah, you can buy an entire Prius from one rotor, actually.
Right.
me personally, I can't wait to get that sucker on and see how
you're
it
gonna
works.
Love it, trust me, man.
That and obviously, of course, when you're putting on new rotors, it's important you put on new brake pads too.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
You want to make sure you mate them in together.
Yes.
very cool. So there will be a break-in phase necessary to have the new brake pads marrying with the new rotor, but he knows how that works, and he maybe can explain that process later. Yeah, let's get it in, boys.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so we took the chance and installed also in the front a brand new tire. Since we had the wheel out, it's a good time to do that. Now we are ready to install the brand new BrakeTech rotor, and we are making sure that all bolts are evenly torqued up. So use a torque wrench for that part. Why? What's the importance here?
2 reasons. You want to make sure that your carrier stays nice and flat and even. If you untorque them unevenly, you can actually twist the carrier on there and you'll induce a wobble. Even though it's a floated rotor, it'll still happen. The other reason is too, is if they're unevenly torqued, the loosest one's going to back out eventually. And we don't want that to happen. It's a less than ideal situation when you're going around the track.
At 80 miles or even more.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's a bad day.
So in this case here, our BrakeTech rotor is directional. Yeah, that's because of the design. And the brake force holding against the
Stops on the carrier.
yeah, instead of the buttons there. I love that design, seriously.
It's really genius.
And
Very
it's
simple.
I don't know if I mentioned that how much thicker this rotor is here. So that has some importance too. In regard heat, what else?
Durability is all.
Durability is pretty much right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
Again,
really
I mentioned that in the very beginning there. I used to bend rotors, so I'm braking extremely aggressive, extremely late and hard, and then I'm bending rotors like up to 2 in a season. I have this rotor on my KTM SMR now on for what, 2 years now, and it's still good. So I think that proves it.
That's the
proves
proof.
the point.
Yep. The proof
Yeah.
is in the pudding there.
There you go.
We're also going to use a little dot of Loctite too, just to make sure, as a little bit of an insurance policy, to make sure that none of these back out.
Yeah.
We're using blue because eventually we're going to want to be able to remove this rotor.
Yeah, you don't want to go with red.
No, red you have to use heat. Blue should just come out with a little bit of extra effort.
So later on, we're going ahead and cleaning the rotor up there before we actually put the new brake pads on. And we're using brake cleaner for that, easy job. And then following the braking in procedure, the BrakeTech recommends. They actually added an installation manual to it. Nobody needs to know that because it's so simple, but the braking in procedure has some importance there.
Yep, they included it in the box, so if there's any doubt at all, you can always trust what BrakeTech's going to tell you. It's their product after all.
All right, Dean, what's next?
Well, next we're cleaning the rotor. We're getting
All right.
getting it prepped to wipe off whatever junk may be on it, and which will help with the brake pads, the brand new brake pads, to seat better with these brand new rotors.
Right, let's do it.
So using brake cleaner, and we'll just spray the rotor, and then have a nice clean rag.
Yep. There you have it.
And then, I guess I'll do the back side too, but you'll have to just kind of spray the rag to get the back side.
That looks much nicer too now, right?
Oh God, this thing looks awesome.
Yeah, and Mark threw some new bolts at it. And now it's all nice and new.
Alrighty.
There you go.
Alrighty, well, front end's on. Look how nice and shiny that rotor is.
Damn, it works really good, man.
Definitely gonna have some stopping power with that sucker now.
Yeah. But again, you need to break these brakes in.
Yep.
And then you have all the braking power on the flat.
Yep.
This thing is moving asphalt forward.
Turns right off its axis.
All right.
Alright.
So that was the Superbike-Coach team, or let's say half of it. Here's Mark. And that behind the camera is Dean, right? you want to switch? There you go.
Hi.
All right, let's do it this
Here
way.
we are.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're doing a lot here, right? We got to keep our bikes in shape, maintain them, keep them clean, and all that. And we do that all for our classes. which you should join, right? Where we have
Absolutely.
cornering classes, huge program, very popular. Track days, suspension workshops, knee down course, wheelie course.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
If you got a Supermoto, we have a Supermoto race course
Oh yeah.
or a
that's
race
the
class
hell
now.
of
So that's
Yeah.
last year
Good
was
intro into racing.
last year was an awesome
fun. Oh yeah.
awesome class.
People loved it, and so would you. So check it out.
Come join us.